Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody today? Well, yesterday was consolidation resting day, and it was good to see markets come back off of the lows. Um, we're looking at SPX here. Um, dip down to that halfway mark of the wide range bar, and one of our factory work analysis types is that once we get a wide range bar, that's an igniting bar. And while this one doesn't come out of a base type of breakout wide range bar, it came after a pullback. So we view it as such. And it stopped at the prior high. Fine. And one of the things I said yesterday was, all right, a consolidation day would just be normal and maybe even a second one. So the way things are shaping up initially, you can see there's a lot of red here. It looks like it could be the second one, or, if it closes down below this bottoming tail bar, it's not going to be as bullish as this appears to be at the moment, but we'll have to see how the day progresses. So a couple of consolidation days up here. Well, I said closes below here. If for some reason we get a sell-off and it pops all the way back up, mortgage the house and all in after over the high. That was a little bit of a joke. Anyway, it would be very bullish, and I can't imagine with a pattern like that it wouldn't go significantly higher from that point with a second correction day. And we'll see how it all unfolds. We've got a pivot low down here at 39.20. And below that, there really isn't. Well, 39.20 is the bottom of yesterday, is that big bars range. Okay. And yesterday's low there. Yesterday's lows 43.25. That's right there. Okay. So from an hourly chart perspective, basically we've got, what's over here? Not quite a trading range. It was kind of dipping down and up at resistance there. And so maybe today we shall see. We'll see where the futures are related to that. Let me look at spiders. That's not on 24 hours. 394. So we're pretty deep into yesterday's range there. So the first half hour will be interesting as to whether it can actually hold after 30 minutes, even if it dips under these lows. Does it hold after 30 minutes and come back up again? As if it goes sideways for 30 minutes and then starts to break, it's going to open up the door, to at a minimum to testing yesterday's low. Now, as I said, if it pops back up and we get what we call a 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a really powerful continuation pattern. So a 1, 2, 3 is a continuation pattern, right? By definition. However, the most bullish ones don't have a high to get through, right? They break out of a consolidation. And so if we want to get that extra correction bar, which helps, the concept is that it reduces supply. So if we're taking out a low like that, their bids are going to be hit. So those that are holding get knocked out, and now they're not there to sell, and there's new buyers. Right? It could, the 10-year prices are breaking below the recent low. So that's a little pressure on the markets here this morning. You can see here's the 10-year. Well, it's going up above the high there. It's up here. What was I looking at this morning? It's right up at the high. Yeah, it must have been that. I don't think it was TBT. That's at 22.10. It's up there. So just right at that prior high. And I've been saying for a while that it makes sense for this to push up into this area. And so that might be the motivation to ignite more selling, since we know, you know, fund managers, the markets, whatever, getting scared of this acceleration in interest rates. But while this might be the last hurrah for a while, if they do spike up into this area to push the markets down, now we look to the left, is that resistance there. And I would suspect that, bonds then kind of fall into a trading range or pull back more with the, things ease up. And so with that in mind, we always look for multiple things coming into alignment. If I can find that freaking chart. Here we go. So yesterday we talked about that this lower value data was being dropped off. And you can see, while historically this would actually be bearish sentiment being here, it's actually been higher than what it has been back there. So our moving average is only touching this upper band, which is where prices stabilized before after a spike down. We're not having any spike down now. So maybe it chops sideways, but they're getting a little bit more tentative or bearish. So if we were to get some kind of dip and this day-to-day value with the spike up into these green lines, that would be ideal. Of course, holding up in this area here. Breadth, as you would expect, on a go nowhere day wasn't good. No problem there. So, maybe things are coming where bonds spike up and, we see what happens as it unfolds. Okay. Interest rates, I should say. Looking at S&Ps, right? Just going nowhere here. Coming down toward the support. And YM, same story. It's pretty tight. Starting to roll over a little bit. It's got room to drop. So there's some scalps to the downside, but it is right on this pivot. And Qs just continue to be a mess. I don't subscribe to using diagonal trend lines, but they do help to point out the contraction or the winding of the spring. So, well, you can see, and I will, where the heck? Find the line. All right. So if we go from here to here, just to make the point, and these come down here, it's a way of saying, the forces between supply and demand are coming together tighter and tighter. And the theory is, with drawing a triangle like this, is that prices historically, if they're not going to be a fake move, they break before reaching the pinnacle. I know Debbie dreams of her famous ass-ended triangles, which I still don't know what they are, but it's funny. But anyway, you can see the contraction. And it's not about these lines. It's just about visually making a picture that jumps out at supply and demand is coming together. And while it was wild over here, it's settling down to a point where somebody's got to blink, so to speak. And so which way is it going to go? Well, we don't know quite yet. Buyers stepped up aggressively here. They're selling there. And we'll see how today unfolds. All right. And I can tell my brain's a little slow this morning. Getting set up here. Finally got everything set up back in the old room and other systems. But it was a long time wiring things and getting everything back together last night. Anyway, Russell, it's not your typical head and shoulders kind of a top for sure. But you can see the breakout failure and the deep move down. It got slammed. Lower yesterday, it's got room to fall. So what I would hope for something like this is to just, let's just say, let me get this drawing thing out here. Let's just imagine as if this doesn't exist, right? Because this is how this really should shape up, is that this moved down now, coming down here. I don't know if it'll break the low. Let's say it comes down here and we get a W pattern. So, I'm trying to put together a scenario as to all of these things we're talking about coming together, in that, maybe bond interest rates pop up, our internals get a little more bullish, the Russell comes down to form a W bottom. Maybe that sets up the long after a bunch of jiggles that gets everybody nervous about, no, 4,000 is not going to get hit again. And here we go. So, we'll see how it unfolds. Right. So far, we do not have an information to say this is it. Right. This is what it needs to do now. IWM 205 put. Expiring when? Friday or tomorrow? If they have tomorrow, 205. I don't know about next Friday. Look, if today starts out where things are going to be selling, I could see it hitting 205 and buyers being there, right? Because it would just be the next pivot low, right? So while it was tested partially here, this coming down could hit 205, and I would be looking to be a buyer there with the appropriate pattern on a smaller time frame. All right, Friday's closed. Well, maybe we can get something going and trade amongst each other if we don't want to take the day off. Okay, so pivot low right there. I'd be looking for prices to stabilize there, because if they don't, well, look, I think if they would have come down here, it's going to pop back up. And then maybe you really, if things are going to be bearish later on, you could have some lower high head and shoulders top type of pattern, more aligned with historical textbook picture of a head and shoulders top. So we'll see how it unfolds. We already looked at bonds, oil, pretty much doing nothing. Gold going down. All right. Looks like it's testing that low, and we'll see if that could turn around. So it's that support here. And if it doesn't, I mean, there isn't much below it. So it's kind of like the last hold out there for this long correction that gold has gone through. So we'll see. And silver, obviously moving down again, coming to support. Let's see what our transports did yesterday. Still holding up there like a rock. So that's still looking good. So we'll see what today brings, everybody. Just looking at that, that's a mess. 313, 314. No big deal. This open right now. We'll see how it unfolds. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, all our opens are fine. As you know, we've been fooling around with this Viacom sector. You see they're up a little bit. We might want to put on another trade today, and it might even be a directional over yesterday's high. You can see the narrowing contraction, the bounce on the 200. That's when we entered the put spread, and we nailed those entries on Friday. We just sat back, waited, and we did it right there. And now it's consolidated yesterday. 20 MA flattening out. I just noticed this other one. They, I guess, issued some preferred stock here recently. I guess that might have been part of the problem. I know that they were raising money, but here's another one we can keep an eye on. Yeah, Baidu I have in the bottom right here, McGraw. I like the gap up, so this could definitely be a day trade. But I do like this gap to the top end of this 15-minute resistance. It's holding very well. So yeah, I have it. I have it right there. Sam Futu. It's a bullish 15-minute. Not crazy about it as a swing, but day trade it looks fine. MA to me has to get over Friday's high. Visa, we're already in a put spread. I see it gapping down a bit, but our put spread is far away. JP Morgan, it's just no pattern to me. I mean, these things are a mess. Yeah, I have both of those in my list here. GSX is not ready yet, and that's a power move down. And it's just gapping the resistance, so that one is not ready. VIPs I have here in the middle window. Not crazy about the daily, but I like the gap up above 15-minute resistance. Could go to 32 bucks as a day trade. And so that's why I have that in that little window. Yeah, I like the turn there. You know, it's had some overlapping bars, but I like I like the downside little shakeout, and I love the weekly grimy. So that looks great to watch. Let me continue here. CNBS. Oh, I just saw this going back to ticker. This is another cannabis ETF. I just saw it going by, and I don't know what's in it or whatever, but it looks very similar to Michael Jackson. I don't know if it has options or whatever, but it's not different enough to me to worry about watching it. Hey Jake, what is that? Oh, I got my sheet here. The REIT. Here it is. I found it. IIPR. This is the marijuana REITs. And for the longest time, they were incredibly outperforming MJ, but now it's sloppy too. So maybe Friday's high, you can get a little bounce, kind of a big W bottom. You could set an alarm just under Friday's high. Sauce I saw here tanking pre-market. Look at that. 580 thing tanked 20%. I don't know what's going on there. This totally looks like a Reddit boy toy back here in February. They were picking on a lot of these short squeeze candidates. Jose, J&J. We're actually already long J&J from yesterday. And we sold a third at the high. There's really nothing to do with it right now, though. I see it curling over on the 15, so we just have to sit back and watch the retracement levels. We also did PG yesterday. Some of these, Dow slug stocks were in tap. We sold 2/3 of that. We're in NDAC. That's a 1, 2, 3. We're in CDW. And that's a 1, 2, 3 that you can add over yesterday's high. That looks fantastic. If it takes out yesterday's high, I mean, you hit the mouse. It looks great. We're in cross. Look at this 1, 2, 3. Now this was the type of bottoming pattern I was telling you about. I found a lot of these over the weekend. So crust looks great. I just posted Synopsis. There's another similar one. Bottoming pattern at the 200, been lagging the market. But that is a beautiful 1, 2, 3 right now. So it looks great. Over Friday's high, you hit the mouse. EWC. Yeah, yeah, it's a buy setup. I kind of don't like the way it came down from the prior high. This cracks me up. Yelp says, "Oh, I'm going to start taking Bitcoin for whatever," and I don't know. I don't get it. They were making fun of it. The announcers, like, "Oh, you can buy pizza." Is that really going to make your company gap up whatever percent $2 is over 5% because you can buy pizza on a Bitcoin? That's just an example of stupid public. But it is a buy setup. It's making the turn here. It's worth watching. 30-minute high. TME was another one that got beat up, I think, in either the China or the Visca story. Um, Possible day trade similar to Vips and Baidu. Kesson had earnings gapping up 94 and a quarter. That's a big gap. So too big for me. Zulu, we found this into the close yesterday. Zulu and Zulu Mike, Zoom. These are both of my short watch candidate. That looks good. 30-minute low. 30-minute low. Let's short Zoom. Start off with a day trade. Jemiah gap. Now, if this were gapping over Friday's high, then it would be a better turn. Right now, nah, I'm not interested in it. Yeah, John, it's not me. Riot, Bitcoin is gapping up, so I always look at Riot, Mara. There's no day trade, and I'm sorry, no swing pattern. Actually bullish pre-market 15, gapping up, buy setup. So that also could very well provide a day trade long. Mara is actually stronger, gapping up over these real bodies. I'm going to put Mara in my other screen here to watch. GSX, we talked about. Oh, yeah, let's some more. Lou, Bitcoin, Q still strong, BRNT, BRNT. BRNT is a short. It's a short. I loved yesterday's topping tail bar. So that's going on the short list. You're asking about Bitcoin. That's $sign BRTI. It's up 1, 2, 3, 4 bars and gapping up. Is that all-time highs? No, all-time highs are 60,735. And there's no entry, 5 bars up at resistance. Are Q still strong, you're asking? I lost my pre-market. I don't know what you mean. Are the Qs still strong? The Qs are a big mess, and they've been lagging. Spiders and diamonds. Pre-market, it's gapping to yesterday's low. It's a mess and slightly bearish. So I'm kind of confused with your question. Would you take Crust or GE long? We're already in Crust from yesterday, but you can add. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3. GE has to get over Friday's high, but you don't have a great price void. TVA, Steve, over yesterday's high is fine, because then it'll be top and tail ignored. SGFY. Recent IPO, I do like the gap reversal. And Friday and yesterday are staying in the upper third, so that's a positive. Lauren, FE, FE. I like yesterday's bar on the 20. Um, yesterday's high, maybe wait 15 minutes with the market gap down. I'm not going to be rushing into anything. DTSI 7, oh, that's a big gap, 729, too big for me. Shrax 479, that's a mess. Dips we talked about. Golf Victor. It's, unless you tell me otherwise, it looks like a recent IPO. But this is a bear sandwich, big green bar on the left and right of a big red bar. Something's weird. Never mind. Look at the date. Look at the date. So I don't know why that made it to my screen, but that's not trading anymore. This is a big mess, Ango, and earnings. DNMR getting whacked here, $32. Happened to these prior lows. So I don't know if it's gonna, that's kind of a trade where you can play 30-minute high or low. Either way, I have no idea what the supply demand's going to be at the market open. Like Jets here, we were doing some scanning yesterday. Jets over Friday's high I like. And we found Dow and UAL look similar. SPHQ is another, it's kind of a 1, 2, 3, although yesterday's high is a little bit higher, but that looks higher. ANSS is a 1, 2, 3. SBAC is a 1, 2, 3. Synops I gave. Zoom I mentioned short. Delta Mike is weak. CDXC, that looks like a short 10-minute low. That looks great. Baidu bottom right, I see. Perkin right out of the gate. So this 5-minute low CDXC looks great. CDXC, I'll put that in the window. Steve, is BAM still along? Yeah, if it triggers, looks fine. Pola, a bottoming pattern. I don't know if Detective is here, but Detective was asking me yesterday, Dan, what's a bottoming pattern? Well, right here. It's trying, it's sell off and trying to get its sea legs back and put in a bottom. So you can set an alarm near those highs. So you can see these disco stocks. Let's keep an eye on them to sell another put spread and also 30-minute high. Could be worth nibbling on a long. Here's Baidu we talked about. Holding very well pre-market, maybe 10-minute high. Apple, looking at the fangs, Apple looks the weakest. This thing was trying to make this turn here, and it's just not being, the Greg and I were talking, is it going to go to the 200 or is it going to break out? Hey, Groupon I mentioned yesterday. I see Perkin here, 30-minute high on Groupon. Grub was also on my list, but that's gapping. Well, that's fine. Has to get over yesterday's high. Mara coming in. Yeah, no interest in Mara anymore. There's a Brill that we were in last week. Yeah, I'm not gonna mess with that